Let's take a quick look at how to customize the Maya interface. Now, by default, the interface has most everything turned on. But if you want more screen real estate and more room with which to work, you can actually turn things on or off. Now, we can get to this using the display menu. Now, one of the ways that we can customize the interface is by tearing off menus. So here in the display menu, you see we can choose whatever we want, but every menu has this double dotted line at the top. And if we just click on that, we can actually tear that off and we can float the menu. Now, this menu actually has a lot of ways to control the way that Maya looks. One of the first things we can do is we can turn on or off the grid in the viewport. We can also turn on or off what's called a heads-up display. Now, a heads-up display are basically all the things that are in that viewport. So, for example, if you look down here, you'll see that we have a grid which shows the axes in the scene. Well, we can actually turn that on and off. So if we want to, we can turn off the view axis, or we can turn it back on. There are a number of things we can turn on or off within this viewport. So for example, if I select Object Details, it'll show me the details of whatever object I select. So if I select the house, you'll see that it tells me how far it is from the camera, what layer it's on, and so on. And again, we can turn any of these on or off. Now, in addition to what's shown in the viewports, we can go and actually turn on or off big parts of the Maya interface. So if we go here to UI elements, we can turn on or off really anything we want. We could turn off the status line, for example, which is up here, or we can turn it back on. So this whole menu can be turned on or off. Now, if we don't do scripting, we might want to turn the command line off. And when we do, notice how we get a little bit more screen real estate with which to work. Now, if you're not animating, maybe you're just modeling, you can turn off all the animation features. So turn off the time slider and the range slider. Now have a lot of room in which to model. And of course, you can always go back and turn these back on. Now, in addition to the interface elements, we can also customize Maya through preferences. Now, we can get to this by going into Windows, Settings, Preferences, Preferences. This brings up a big menu here, and we've got tons and tons of preferences, which I can't go through all of them, but let me show you a few. If we go here to UI elements, well, this looks awfully familiar. This is the same stuff we have in the display menu, so we can turn it on or off here. We can also turn on or off what's called the view cube, which is the cube that allows you to navigate within the scene. And then we can also turn on or off help. So for example, we have this option here called in view messages. So let me show you what one of those are. So if I go into a viewport and say hit 4, this big message here, that's an in view message. Well, if I want, I can disable this. So click that off here and let's hit 5, 6, or 7, and you'll notice that that's not coming up. And a lot of people will turn this off just so that they don't have that in the way. And then we can also turn on or off pop-up tooltips. So for example, here, if I hover over this, you'll see that little yellow box is my tooltip. So if I turn that off, again, it doesn't show up. Now we have a number of other settings here, kinematics, animation settings, all sorts of different things. And as you start to work through Maya, you'll start to learn what each of these mean. Now, I really don't have time to go through all of these preferences, but just know you have a lot of room here with which to customize Maya.